Who don't know, my name is Michael Forrest, and welcome to It's Go Time. Now, before we get going, I'm going to ask if you can all not send me text messages while I'm up here, because listen, when you're up here and you're moving around, you're hosting, and all of a sudden you get some text, it's like hitting a wall. It's like just a wall of text, really, and it's not a pleasant experience. If you have any comments, please hold on to them till the end. Also, you're going to notice in your menu wheel, the very top, there's a microphone icon that looks kind of like this. And when that microphone icon is clear, that means we can hear everything that's happening in your environment. But we've gone ahead and we've turned that to red, and this means you're muted. So if somebody comes into your space and says, "Hey, are you still on that thing?" Feel free to answer them, because we're not going to hear any of that, right? But just because you're muted doesn't mean you can't participate, right? You're going to notice that you have a pink cheek smiley face in that emoji wheel, and when you click on it, it opens up an emoji panel, which gives you a wide variety of options with which to express yourself, right? So if maybe, I say something really deep and powerful up here and it touches you, right? It starts to build up, you can just let it out. Just let it flow just like that. Maybe I do something impressive. Maybe I got some backup dancers backstage, right? And they come out dancing. We break into It's Go Time, the musical, and you're all impressed, right? You can throw up the applause and I live for just like that. And I can take a moment to drink it all in because it feels good. Thank you, Jeff. That's really nice. I really like that. That's good. All right. If I ask you guys a yes or no question, you can say yes by smiling like this. You can say no by frowning like this. And maybe I say something funny. You want to show me you're laughing. You can do the silly faced emoji like this, right? And then there's this thing. This is by far the most distracting of all the emojis, right? You're going to want to use this in the event of a problem. So if I'm waving my hands around and it looks like I'm talking, but you're not hearing any sound, that's a good time to use that thing. Or maybe, maybe the moderators have seen one too many It's Go Times and they've had enough and they decide they're going to take revenge and they're going to burn down the stage. And don't laugh. That actually happened one time. We had the screen going on behind me and I had no idea. But thankfully, the audience let me know by doing just like this. And that's our pact. You let me know if there's a problem. It's a sacred bond, right? If you press the X in the middle of the emoji panel will close, but it's a good idea to leave it open during events like this because it gives me feedback. It lets me know how I'm doing, right? But more importantly, it lets the people around you know what you're experiencing. So if the person next to you starts going like this, that means they found something funny, right? And you may not agree. You might be like, well, that's not funny at all. I'm going to stand over here. I don't know what you're talking about. And you can totally do that because this is VR. You can stand where you want, except as we discussed, not the stage, all right? All right, good. So we're good. All right, cool. Excellent. Now, Go Time is an event for Oculus Go users, but all are welcome. So if you're on another device, feel free to hang out. You may pick up some useful tips that'll help the Go community in Altspace. There's a lot of Go users in here, and there's more coming in each and every day. All right. But we're going to go over to some stuff that's going to help you with that experience. Because listen, there are problems being on an Oculus Go in Altspace. It's not without its challenges. And speaking of challenges, I've been in a bed for about the past 2 years, less so now. Things are improving. That's a good thing. But when I first got my headset, I couldn't wait for this thing to arrive because to me, this meant like mobility, right? And the first time, you guys remember that? The very first time you put on a headset, that feeling of being transported to another world, there's nothing like it. And I put on that headset, right? And I came into Altspace. I've been reading about it for a while. I couldn't wait to get in here. It was my first stop. And I came out of that load screen for the first time and I looked up and I saw the sky. And the sky looked real to me. It looked just like what I remembered. And I was grateful. I was so grateful. I started volunteering for Altspace that first day, right? I started moderating for events. And you know what happened was my battery wouldn't last. So I would lose my connection before the event was even over. I would just disappear. I'd have to charge up my device. I'd have to track down the event host. And once I found him, I'd have to explain why I flaked out. And, so I got off to kind of a rough start in here. But I started asking questions. How can I improve my experience, right? And, and the answers to these questions eventually led to this event, right? And but in the beginning, when I started asking around, I heard some stuff. Like I heard I wouldn't be able to work this laser pointer here, right? You know what? That turned out to not be true. Slides behind me, I was told that I wouldn't be able to work these. Well, apparently, still can't. There we go. I was told I wouldn't be able to work these slides, right? And that turned out to not be true. I was also told that despite having a background presenting material like this, that I wouldn't be able to host events because my device wasn't reliable enough. You know what? Not only was that not true, I went on to become a very prolific Altspace event host where I did I've done about over 300 events now, and more than half of them were performed on an Oculus Go. I like to think I did a good job too. But yeah, my device became super reliable and yours can too. All right. There's two approaches you can take. You can work with the device you already have on your head. So before you even leave here today, you're going to pick up some useful information about how to improve your experience in Altspace. But there's also, you can upgrade your experience to exceed the limitations of your device. And if you've been here before, I can't stand that term. right? You hear this around a lot, like on the Discord especially. You'll hear limitations of the device. You'll hear weaker device. When you hear terms like this, it doesn't feel too good, right? You got to remember, the Oculus Go is a great entry-level VR device, right? It allow you to get acclimated to VR at your own pace. Now, when I was first came into Altspace, I was very sick, so I would get like vertigo and dizzy all the time, right? If I came, I'm on a Quest now, but if I came in on a Quest to begin with, I don't think I would have stayed here. Because on the Go, you don't have to worry about vertical height. You don't have to worry about the complexity of two controllers, and it allows you to adapt at your own pace, right? And in that way, honestly, I'm always going to love the Go. It's kind of like I feel about it the way most people feel about their first car or something like that. And if you hear this term being thrown around, remember there's another term that gets thrown around Altspace an awful lot, and that's communities. There's a lot of rich and diverse communities represented in Altspace, and so if you hear terms like this, just remember that you're the important part of the community, not what kind of headset you're using. All right. So if you just remember, you're not your headset any more than you are your house or your car. And I find that when you hear stuff like that, it pays to keep that in mind. All right, let's start out with the device you already have on your head. Now, you may not be aware of this, but your device loses power even when it's not in use. So when you put it down at the end of the night, right, in the morning when you pick it up, it's going to have less of a charge because all night long it's been looking for app updates, it's been looking for firmware updates. Maybe it has a pen pal on the other side of the world. Maybe your headset has a secret life you don't know anything about. And let's be honest, that can be devastating, right, when you find out about something like that. All right, so what can happen is you want to come into Allspace on a full charge, because if you come in with like 20% battery power, yeah, it's going to work, but your screen is going to be flickering and you're going to have all kinds of performance problems. So what you want to do is, solve this through a little advanced planning. So let's say if you go to altvr.com and you look to see what events are coming up tonight, and you see that, oh, look, it's go time. I've heard really great things about the host. You heard he's got this hair and he's got this shirt. You're starting to see everywhere, right, Jeff? You're starting to see it everywhere. Well, Jeff's gone to sleep. I really up the material. Jeff's seen this before quite a few times. That's why he's got that shirt. But yeah, so if you decide you're going to come to go time, right, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to plug your device in about an hour before the event begins. This way you come in on a full charge, and when you do that, your device is going to perform better. Okay. Now also, when you put the device on your head, the very first thing you want to do, that button you press to turn it on, right? Now you've seen your Oculus home screen. The very first thing you want to do before you come into Altspace is press and hold that power button down for about 4 seconds. And when you do, these 3 buttons are going to appear in the air in front of you, and that middle button is going to say restart. You press that restart button, and your device will restart, and this is going to clear out all those temporary files. Like we're checking for those app updates. It's going to clear out all the temporary memory, and it's going to really enable the best possible performance you can have for your device. All right. Now, you're going to notice every now and then that, when you're in Altspace, you probably notice this by now. As you come into the load screen, you notice what an important role body language plays in Altspace, right? You're going to notice that, for example, say you're at an event like this, and the moderator comes up to you, right, and they start shaking their head back and forth like this. That means don't do that thing that you're doing, right? They didn't have to say a word. Or maybe somebody makes it up on a stage, and I start going like this. That means get off my stage. I don't have to say anything. You can tell by the way I'm moving my hand. But sometimes on the Oculus Go, your real world hand might be right here, but your avatar's hand might be way up here, right? And when it doesn't match up like that, like if I go get off my stage, all you guys are going to see is my hand waving around like this, going to look like I'm saying, hey, everybody, welcome to Go Time. And I'm not saying that. I'm saying get off my stage. It's a very dangerous place. Trained professional, you can get hurt up here. You don't want to do that, right? So what you're going to want to do if this happens to you and you feel like your hand isn't where it belongs, all you have to do is on your controller, you've got your trackpad, and below that you have a button, and below that you have a button. Don't press that one now because you will disappear. But this you can try. If you press and hold that bottom button while your hand's at your side like this and you're looking straight ahead, if you press and hold that, you're going to see a white circle spin in the air, and your hand is going to snap right into place. And when that happens, take a good look at your hand and ask yourself, is this where my hand is in the real world? Now, if it is, then you're good, right? You're comfortable. If it's not, do this as many times as it takes for you to be comfortable. Only you can determine what's comfortable for you, okay? So you try doing that and see how that works out. Now, occasionally you're going to notice the menu wheel on your lower left, that collection of circles. All right, every now and then you're going to notice that's going to drift around every now and then, right? And sometimes it can be hard to reach. Sometimes it'll drift in front of you and it's going to make you feel off balance. Sometimes it can go behind you and like, how am I supposed to press that? You can't really aim at it, right? It's important to remember that you have your main menu in your hands at all times, right? On your controller, just below the trackpad, that middle button is actually your menu button. And it does something else too. If you're looking straight ahead when you press it, your menu will open up in front of you as usual, right? But if you're looking straight ahead when you press it again, the menu will close, but now that collection of circles on your menu wheel is going to be in your lower left where it belongs. And this is going to help you feel more balanced if you feel like it's throwing you off. All right. This will also help you get your emoji panel back and all that stuff. Right. That's a good thing to do. Now, one of the best pieces of advice I got when I first started out was somebody told me to turn my brightness down to make my battery last longer because I kept running out of power. I didn't want to do it, right? Because I had my brightness turned way up to like retina burning levels. I mean, man, it was painful, but my graphics were awesome, or so I thought, right? What I did was every time I came into Altspace, I'd go to the Oculus main menu, right? And on the right it says settings, and I'd press on settings, and I'd look for brightness in the middle, and I turned off auto brightness, and there's this big blue bar there, right? And every time I came into Altspace, I turned that brightness down a little bit more and a little bit more until finally the brightness was completely off. And I came into Altspace, and I couldn't believe what I saw. Now, back then, we had an event where all the moderators would meet by this tree before the event started. We'd hang out, we'd catch up and stuff like that. And as I'm walking over to the tree, I stopped and I looked up and I couldn't believe it. It looked more realistic than I'd ever seen it before. The graphics had actually gotten better. So if you turn your brightness all the way down, you're going to enjoy better performance, right? Better graphics, but most importantly, your battery is going to last longer. And then I started making it through entire events, and it was kind of a turning point for me where things started to get better. And so I can't recommend doing this stuff. If you're making a jump from like 75% brightness to all the way off, it may take you a few minutes to adjust, but it is absolutely worth doing. Your graphics are going to be better, and your battery is going to start lasting a lot longer. And around this time, I became aware of why Go users get kind of a bad reputation in Altspace. And the reason for this is because, well, the microphone on the Oculus Go is extremely powerful. Right now, the sound comes out of your ear straps there, right? And it gets picked up by the microphone, and it gets projected out in Altspace. And what's bad is in Altspace, you don't know what you sound like. You can't hear the sound coming out of your avatar, right? So what happens is, like, I was actually hosting events for a while before I found out what I actually sounded like in here. I had no idea. We got a YouTube channel now. You see Ravenhall floating up there. If you want to be on YouTube, turn around and like give a wave right out to YouTube and say, how's it going? We got a lot of people in here. We got Deb, we got Jeff in the matching shirt. We got David over here. We got VR Man 1970s. We got a lot of people in here. You should come on in Altspace. I think you'll enjoy it, right? But until we started going on YouTube, I really didn't know what I sounded like in here, right? And so this is kind of a problem. Like, you'll be hanging out and say the campfire, and you're talking to your friends. Like, I'm talking to Delcine here, right? And we're hanging out. I say, hey, Delcine, how's it going? You hear about that thing that happened the other day with that place where that thing was going on, right? And all of a sudden, I hear this voice. It's a magnetic voice. It's a voice meant for hosting. And I turn around and I see that my voice is coming out of your avatar as you approach, right? And a lot of times, you'll see somebody come up to you and they'll be like this: "Are you want to go? Are you want to go?" Well, when that happens, that doesn't feel too good, right? It doesn't feel good when that happens, especially if you're new. And that's because, it can feel kind of off-putting, right? But what they're experiencing is pretty off-putting too. They're hearing their voice coming out of your avatar, but with the sound delay, right? It's kind of has the effect of like they're copying you or you're copying them, and it's sort of hard to, have a conversation with somebody like that because it makes it hard to focus. It throws you off. Fortunately, it's really easy to fix this when this happens. You're going to notice on your headset on the top left, you have these two buttons. All right, and one on the leftmost button is the volume down button, and just to the right of that's the volume up button. And when you press either of these, what you're going to notice, right, is these vertical bars appear in the air. Some will be solid and some will be clear. What you're going for is 4 clear bars on the right side so that your volume is 4 ticks away from the maximum. All right, and once you do this, your volume is going to be at a level where the only voice coming out of your avatar is really going to be your own, unless somebody's being like really loud. There's going to be a lot less echo, right? But this comes at a price. Now, occasionally, you're going to have to strain to hear people. You're going to be like, what, right? But remember, you still have one good hand in the real world, and you can use it, right? If you take your left hand, and you could try this now, take your left hand and put it up to your ear and like make like a kind of a cup shape and cup it to your ear. You're going to notice the sound of my voice goes up, all right? This is a way to temporarily increase the volume, right? And, but one good thing you can do that'll take care of this once and for all is if you attach a pair of headphones to your device, right? Or maybe in my case, I acquired a pair of inexpensive earbuds, right? And what'll happen then is the only voice coming out of your avatar will be your own, all right? And once I got my earbuds, I started to think, what else can I add to the device that'll improve the experience, right? To solve some of these problems that I was having. And I came up with what I call a Go Plus experience. And I call it this because I would go to heavy performance spaces in Altspace, and I see other Go users crash. Their avatars would go into the floor or they disappear entirely, right? And, I would still be there. Because my device became super reliable, and yours can too. There's just a few small changes you need to make to it. Super easy to do, not very expensive. And to do that, I'm going to have to discuss these products behind me. All right. But before I do, I always like to say, keep in mind, these are not the only products that work. It's the ideas behind the products that work. These are just the ones that I use, so I feel comfortable recommending them. Right. And if you want to give any of these a try, you can find them by going, because, you're going to want to write this down, but, it's hard to write stuff down in VR, right? So what you can do is if you go to altvr.com, in the upper left, you're going to see a button that says channels or link that says channels. And when you click on it, you're going to see all these Altspace event channels. And down toward the bottom, you're going to see Ravenhall events, right? That's us, right? And you click on that, you get taken to our event page. Now, on the left-hand side, you're going to see all these products listed there if you want to give any of them a try. right? You'll also see a join Discord button if you want to say hello or maybe help us put on events like this, or if you have any questions. It's a cool way to say hello too. Also, the most important button on the internet is there, that subscribe button, right? And when you press on that, it lets Altspace know that you enjoy our content. Now, we don't get paid to do this here, so like every time we see that number go up, it makes us feel good. I mean, it makes us feel better when the YouTube number goes up, when that subscribe button gets hit. Although that's just nothing like that, right? But yeah, just that would help. And every time you guys do that, we're very grateful and thank you. All right, now these products here we have here at the top is the Anker Power Core battery pack. Now, this was meant to address my power issue. I was really tired of running out of battery power, and Oculus says it's not a good idea to use their devices while they're plugged in, right? So, but they say you can use an external battery pack, and I figured I'd start there, right? So, ordered one of these, and at the time that I ordered it, I'd heard a lot of people were starting to have problems charging their devices, and it's no wonder. You guys, when you plug that device in, you notice how tight that port is. Well, if you're in and out every single day, that wear and tear is going to loosen it up, and it won't be making proper contact, right? And it'll start to not charge as effectively. So what I did is I got this MagSafe cable here. This is middle product here. One tip goes into your headset and stays there. The other end goes into an external battery pack, and it's held in place by a magnetic connector, which it turns out is a great safety feature because if you turn your head when you're in VR and you got this plugged in, right, and it pulls on the wire, instead of your headset sliding down and your whole world being turned upside down, right, it'll just pop right off. You don't even got to come out of VR to fix it. You can just pick it up and hold it next to your headset, right? And just like thunk right into place. And if your microphone's up and it'll make a sound, your friends are going to go, "What was that?" And you're going to that was power. That's what that was. You don't have to say that. That's just what I would do. If you want to use it, feel free. 10% royalty. That's what 10%. See my agent after the show. But yeah, so now I was lasting for a while in Altspace, but now I had a new problem. And you guys are probably familiar with this. Anybody overheat in Altspace? Like, you guys overheat at all? Right? Yeah, I thought so. All right. Drives me nuts. And you know what's wild about that is the faceplate on the Oculus Go, it's installed by hand, right? And as such, people experience different results. Like some people overheat every half hour. Some people overheat every 2 minutes, and they get different variations on that because it's installed by hand. Right now, for me, it was every half hour. Right. And I heard some people were sticking ice packs on their faceplate to bring down the temperature. Some people were using bags of frozen peas. Listen, I think this is a bad idea because, you're putting something on your face like that. It's going to create condensation. Let's see, water, electricity on your face. Probably not a good combination. The people I know that were recommending this, they went through more than one device there. I see this camera here. No cameras in this event, please, if you don't mind. And get rid of that. I'd appreciate it very much. We are filming this. If you want to see it, you can check us out on YouTube. Thank you. All right. So also, but yeah. So basically, I started with the overheating and all that. One good way to solve this, instead of the ice pack, that's a bad idea. What is a good idea is this AC Infinity mini fan right here, right? You have that silver part that faces the faceplate, and you got to attach it somehow. Now, some people use string. In my case, I used oversized hairbands. I put them on the ear straps. I made kind of an X with it to that round rubber feet there, and I kind of locked it in place that way with the silver part facing the faceplate. And I came into Altspace with it. And as luck would have it, I was set to moderate the meditation event. Right now, at the meditation event, for some reason, I would always overheat exactly 20 minutes into the experience. I mean, it's an incredible space. It's on top of a mountain. There's like smoke coming up through the bowls and all that. There's like fog and sunlight streaming. I've seen nods. You have seen it, Delsin? You've seen that thing? It's a good place, right? But every time I was there, 20 minutes in, I would overheat every time. So I figured this would be a great place to test it, right? So I went up to host before the show started, and I asked him, Jeremy's a super nice guy, and I asked him, I said, can you hear my fan? And he says, no, it's fine. I can't hear a thing. I said, great. So I turned it up to medium, and I said, how about now? He said, I can hear it a little bit, but it's not that bad. I turned it to the full blast, and he goes, you need to turn that down. You sound like you're in a wind tunnel, right? So I go, okay. And I turned it all the way down, and you know what? Spoiler, I never had to turn it up again. On its lowest setting, this is what happened. I went through the event. 20 minutes came, and 20 minutes went, and I didn't overheat, right? I was impressed. Right. And I want to find out where the limit was. Right. So I went to another event right after that. 2 events in a row, and I didn't overheat once. Right. Then I went to another event. 3 events in a row. Didn't overheat one time. Then I went to my home space. I hung out with my friends for a while. And you know what happened? I left Altspace for the very first time, not because I had to. I left because I was tired. I'd actually had enough. It was the first time that ever happened, and it wouldn't be the last. Right. After that, I became super involved in the community. I started hosting events, moderating events. My device was super reliable, and yours can be too, right? It doesn't take very much money to do any of this. Okay, it's super easy. You've got this AC Infinity mini fan here. This cost about $10 or $11 US. This MagSafe cable is about $7 US, and this battery pack up at the top is about $30 US. That's the most expensive one up there. But you know what? It comes in different sizes, capacities, colors, and all that. And like maybe you're only in VR for a couple hours a night. You maybe don't need a battery that big. This one lasts about 16 hours, right? But I was hosting every day, all day, so I kind of needed a little bit of the extra juice, right? But it's you can get a different size, is what I'm saying, and it'll go further that way. Now, this made everything super reliable, but you know what? There were still problems, okay? And these are more of annoyances than they are problems, and they're manageable. The first one you probably experience is a movement issue, and this is what happens when, like, I turn left to say something to Jeff here, instead of turning left, I go straight, and I'm like, well, that was weird. What happened there? And then, like, I'll go to turn right to say something to Humber, but instead of turning right, I go straight again, and I'm like, what's going on? And I bang down on the controller to hit, go backwards, but instead of going backwards, I go straight again. And I'm like, I don't know what's happening. And I start banging on the controller, no matter what you're doing, keep moving straight. And the next thing you know, I'm standing inside of an admin. All right, there is nothing more frightening than standing inside of an admin. I saw things when I was in there too, man. I saw the past, I saw the future, I saw things about user accounting. It keeps me up at night, I'll be honest with you. All right, but what you can do if this happens to you, right, is just remember that you can reset your touchpad by taking your thumb and swiping it from right to left or left to right. The direction doesn't matter. But gently, without pressing down, as light as possible, just swipe your thumb right across it and then lift it up into the air and cross over to the other side, come down and swipe it again. So basically, you'll go swipe, 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 and then turn in a direction that you want to move, and it's going to take care of that, okay? Another thing that can happen is, and for some reason, this always happens when you're in a rush, right? You're going to put your headset on, you're going to see a notice that can't find controller. Now, maybe, all right? Now, that can happen if you need to change the battery in your controller, but you put a fresh one in it last night, right? So what's going on, right? Maybe the controller found out about your headset secret life and isn't happy about it, right? Because like I said, that could be devastating. So what you're going to want to do, right, is you're going to want to get them talking again. And you don't even have to take your headset off to do this. All you have to do is remember two words: double down. And what I mean by this is on your controller, below your trackpad, you have those two buttons. If you press them down at the same time and hold them down for about 4 seconds, this little white light's going to appear on your trackpad. If you have your headset on, you're not going to see that white light. But what you will see is when you lift your thumb back up, you're going to have your hand back, right? And you're going to go into that load screen. You're going to be like, man, I am glad I went to Go Time. That Michael Forrest, he knew what he was talking about. He told me to double down, and now I get to be on time for my event or whatever, right? So, if that happens to you, you're welcome. All right. Now, another thing that you could do is occasionally you're going to notice that your screen is going to go dark suddenly. And the reason this happens is because everything you see in this space, right, this big red shiny button that we're going to use at the end for our cool effect, right, the stage, all your fellow avatars, all this stuff takes up memory, right? So if after this event you go to the campfire, for example, you're not thinking about Go Time anymore, but your headset still is. And when that memory fills up, even if you're not on the go, any mobile device this will happen on, when that memory fills up, your screen is going to go dark, all right? The way you can manage this is by getting ahead of it before it happens. Right. So if you've been to a couple of worlds and then your friend says, let's go to the campfire, right? You've got some memory being used up in your head, so you're going to want to clear that out manually. And the way to do that is just hit that bottom button on your controller. Think of that as an eject button, right? And you'll get taken out to the main Oculus screen. You'll have a choice to quit or resume. Right? If you press quit, the app will close and you can restart it and come back in and join your friends. And that resume button is pretty handy. If you press it on accident, you can just come right back into Altspace. It'll be like you never left. All anyone's going to see is you're going to be frozen like that. I was paused there, right? And it's like, one time I actually crashed and people like looking up the stage going, it's so dramatic, so into it. But yeah, you'll just freeze like that. And then when you hit resume, you'll come right back in and it'll be like you never left. But yeah, so when the screen goes dark, that's a good way to handle that. All right, now, occasionally, let's see. Now, I'm running a little bit short on time. I usually give out world building tips. If anybody wants to hear that, let me see some hearts. Otherwise we'll go right into the questions. Anybody want the world building tips? No world building tips. Okay, cool. All right. Wait. Two, yeah. Okay, 3. All right, cool. Let's get into it. We'll try to do it quickly. What you're going to find is I used to moderate for an event called Building Worlds, right? And at this event, there would always be a few Go users there that would say that they couldn't build an Oculus Go's. You know what? That's not, these devices are capable of remarkable precision, right? You're going to find a lot of worlds in Altspace that were built on Oculus Go's, and they're very detailed. They're very good. In fact, when this event is over, we take everybody flying. And the world that we go to, the Ravenhall Flight Academy, that world was built in less than 2 days on an Oculus Go. All right, very detailed. There's also a link there, a portal that goes to Lake Ravenhall. That took a lot longer than 2 days because that world is huge, but that old world was also built entirely on an Oculus Go. All right, so where do people get this impression that you can't build worlds on an Oculus Go? Right. Well, when you start world building, what you're going to notice is when you go to grab an item in the world editor, and again, if you got to be in the world data program to enable this through your main menu. You go to settings and then up in general, you'll see where it says to enable worlds beta. And then you'll be able to build worlds, right? And when you go to interact with that world builder, you're going to find all of a sudden when you grab an object, it's moving all over the place. You're like, what's going on, right? And then after a while, you start to realize that it's your head that's moving the object, right? And this, I don't know about you guys, but it's really hard to keep a level head in any reality, let alone a virtual one, right? So what you can do is if you open up that world editor on the very bottom there, you're going to see there's a white checkbox that says lock rotation. And lock rotation is a Go user's best friend, right? Once you check this, what you're going to do is if you point at an object, edit it, right, and you squeeze the trigger one and release it one time, now you'll be able to level the object by hand. And when you get it where you like it, you just squeeze and release the trigger again, and it'll lock it into place. And you're like, yeah, that's about level. Makes a good mustache. Look at that. There you go. But yeah, so what you now can do is you can press and hold that trigger, and now you'll be able to move that object up, down, left, and right. Okay. Also, you can swipe your thumb on the trackpad. If you swipe it up or down, it'll move the object away or it'll pull it closer to you. If you swipe it left or right, the size or the scale of the object will change. You can also walk around carrying it by holding your trigger button while you're holding it and place it where you want it. And this is really a great way to build because, like, let's say we put it on the edge of the stage here, right? And we place it right there. Now, if this is the real world, that would be on the floor right now. It's not really placed very well. But on an Oculus Go, you don't have to get it exact. You just have to get it close enough. And then you go into the world editor and you look at the item list. And on the item list, you'll see, in this case, laser pointer. And next to it will be a cogwheel. And if you press that cogwheel, a panel's going to open up with all these numbers. There'll be numbers for position, rotation, or the scale, or the size, right? And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to play with these numbers to see what they do. And only change them by a small amount. So let's say that the X value right now of this position is set to 20, right? And we change it to 19. Now, all of a sudden, it jumps over here. Right? Now, we know that any object that we work with in this space, if we lower the X number, it's going to move it in that direction toward the window, right? Likewise, if we increase the number, it's going to move it away from the window over toward Hummingbird there, right? And it also must mean if it's going back and forth that way, that must mean the Z-axis is going to move that way or that way. And now every object we place, we're going to feel more comfortable with, and we're going to add another one and another one and another one. And before you know it, you will have built a world that is your very own. And you can invite people in from the campfire and become known for it. Maybe you can become Altspace famous, right? So, that'll help you with the world building there. All right, now, let's see here. What we're going to do now is we're going to open up the floor for questions. So if you have a question or comment, what you can do is you're going to notice there's a raised hand button that appears in your lower right as if by magic. That's what, passes for magic in VR. And then I'll call your name and I'll get to feel like a radio host, all fancy like that. So if you have any questions, just press that raise hand button. And if while we're waiting for that to fill up, if you on Twitter and you like to follow us, you can find us at _ Uncanny Valley. I realize it looks like one underscore, but it is actually two. All right, let's see. We got Pop Gamer. Pop Gamer, you're on the air, and I sound like a radio host. Where are you, Pop Gamer? I don't see you.
I'm over here.
You're over here. Okay. Where are you? Here. Hey, Pop Gamer, what's up?
Is this next Monday too?
Is this what?
Next Monday too, because I literally just joined.
Yeah, Go Time is every Monday and Thursday. So we do it twice a week. All right. And if you happen to, miss it, you can always catch us on YouTube by searching Ravenhall Labs or Ravenhall Events. You'll find us for both. We post them up every week or so. We're a little behind right now, but we are in the process of catching up. All right. I don't see any. We also have Jules Broom. Jules, you have a question or a comment or anything like that? You're on the air. What's going on, Jules? Where'd you go? There.
Talk me through how to turn down the brightness.
How you turn down the brightness. Okay, what you do is on the Oculus main menus, when you first turn the device on, you're going to see on the right-hand side on the bottom of the tabs, you're going to see where it says settings. If you click on settings, right in the middle there, you're going to see an area for brightness. You click on brightness, and you'll have a big blue bar there. Turn the auto brightness off so it doesn't self-adjust, and you can set it manually. And then you're going to want to turn it all the way off so there's no more blue on that bar. It's completely gone, and then that's going to improve your graphics, and your battery's going to last longer, and your performance is going to be better. Definitely worth doing.
Okay.
All right, now, if there are any more questions or comments, we will be taking them at the Flight Academy. What we're going to do now is we're going to unmute everybody so you can talk freely and all that. We're going to react to what I'm about to do. You're going to see this red button right here that says talent call. What this does is just going to call in a Ravenhall talent, right? And what that is, you're going to see it'll go by this window here. It'll fly up over the trees. It'll land in the yard. It's kind of like an aircraft, and you guys can fly these if you want to. All right, at the Ravenhall Flight Academy, we're going to teach you guys to fly. So I'm going to press this. You're going to watch it come in. I'm going to press this right now. Here we go. Let's just press this button.
Ravenhall Talon aircraft en route to your position.
There it goes. All right, everybody, we're going to go out back and meet it. So come on, join me outside. And listen, if you've learned anything here today, right, please share it with those you come in contact with. So if you're in a campfire and somebody says, I'm on an Oculus Go and my face is melting, it's on fire, what do I do? Tell them about the fan, tell them about Go Time, tell them our event page and all that stuff. They'll feel better because you helped them out there, and you'll feel better because you helped them out. So that's how we keep this thing going. All right, so it's coming in now to land, and you're going to see a blue light
Talon
come out of it.
aircraft is now boarding outside for transport to the Ravenhall Flight Academy. Please exit the building and step into the blue light. Thank you.
All right, everybody, thanks for coming. I'll see you next time.